Assalamu alaikum. Dear learners, in this short video, I will talk specifically about the ultrasounds and how these can be used to sense any physical quantity. There are a range of sensors that are based on detection of sound, especially the ultrasound. You must have heard about sonar, which is an abbreviation of sound navigation and ranging. These systems make use of the fact that sound bounces off the objects and it can be received at different locations once it has bounced off. During the travel of the sound, a number of physical quantities can modify it, and therefore, if we can track this modification, we can have a measure of the physical quantity that produced that modification. Specifically talking about the sonar, ultrasound may be used in two different ways to detect displacement of the objects and the linear velocity. What happens is that a transmitter transmits the ultrasound signal, and when it reflects back from an object, it is received and the time of the flight is noted. Using the speed of the sound waves in a particular medium and the time of the flight, we can easily figure out the distance from which the wave was reflected, hence giving us the range or displacement measurement. On the other hand, if the object that caused the reflection of the ultrasound wave is moving relative to the transmitter receiver platform, then the reflected ultrasound will have a different frequency. This frequency will not only depend on the relative speed but also on the direction of motion. The famous effect based on this thing is called the Doppler effect, which you might have learned in your college or high school. Moreover, you must have experienced the changing pitch of the car horn as the car honks and passes you. This happens because the receiver, which is you, and the transmitter, which is the car, has relative velocity, and the sound waves received by you have variable frequency depending on the speed and direction of the car. Furthermore, dolphins, whales, and bats use ultrasounds or technically sonar to move around and even communicate with each other. You might be surprised to know that the whales can communicate almost around the whole globe using ultrasounds. So there are a number of sensors that utilize the ultrasonic waves and can measure things like liquid level, flow rate, measurement speeds, displacement, and even create a 3D image. I'll talk about few of these measurements in a bit. But no matter what kind of physical phenomena you want to sense using ultrasounds, the source of ultrasound most commonly used is a piezoelectric crystal. If you can remember when I talked about piezoelectric crystal in the previous video, I said that these are the crystals that can generate electrical voltage or charge in response to a force. However, they can produce vibrations or force if electrical voltage is provided to them. Therefore, an electrical voltage of a particular frequency will make these crystals vibrate at that particular frequency, and hence the air around the crystal can be disturbed to produce an ultrasonic wave in the range of 20 kHz to 15 MHz. A number of characteristics of ultrasounds can be used to sense physical phenomena. I'll talk about these characteristics in the next few slides. First of all, let us talk about the transmission speed. You must have learned in your physics course that sound travels with a speed of about 331.6 meters per second through air. But you might not have an idea that this speed is highly dependent on the temperature of the air. For every 1 degree change in the temperature, the speed changes by 0.6 meters per second, and that's quite a lot. Apart from the temperature, the humidity and the air turbulence can also affect the speed of the sound traveling through the air. And if you change the medium altogether, that is, if the sound is traveling through metal or through any other material, then it will have a completely different speed. This table shows the transmission speed of sound waves through various mediums. It can be seen that sound waves travel the slowest in the air, whereas it speeds up as the medium becomes more dense. This is because of the fact that sound travels because of the vibration of particles present in the medium. And if these particles are present quite close to each other, then they can easily transmit their energy to the neighboring particles, and hence the sound wave can easily progress. This is the reason the sound travels quite faster in solids as compared to fluids. Another characteristic associated with ultrasound or sound wave is the direction cone or the transmission cone. Whenever a transmitter transmits sound, it travels in the normal direction with maximum amplitude. And as we move away from the normal direction, the amplitude decreases. You can easily appreciate this thing by the fact that whenever we have to talk to someone, we move our face towards him so that our sound can reach him with maximum amplitude. However, if you are not facing the guy to whom you are talking, then an attenuated version of your sound will reach him. The transmission cone, or you can say the spread of the sound waves, depends on the frequency. A higher frequency sound will have a smaller transmission cone, that is, it will be more focused and confined in a particular direction and will not scatter easily, whereas a lower frequency sound signal will have a large direction cone which will travel in all directions when it is transmitted from the transmitter. The transmission cone is defined as the angle at which the energy of the ultrasound has reduced to 50% or to minus 6 dBs. So, can you figure out the transmission cone of human sound? You can easily do this thing by using two mics and a simple computer software to figure out the amplitude of the sound which is being received by these two mics. Place one mic right in front of your face and the other mic at an angle at a particular distance. The one right in front of your face will act as a reference, as it will receive the maximum amplitude of the sound which you are generating, and the second mic will receive a reduced amplitude of the sound. The angle at which the second mic will receive the 50% amplitude of the sound which you are generating will be the transmission cone for you. I will recommend you to perform this simple and interesting experiment, and you will notice that in normal conditions, males have larger transmission cone as compared to females. And this is because of the fact that normally the frequency of sound generated by males is lower than that of females. Therefore, as we increase the frequency, the transmission cone will decrease. And if I talk about typical ultrasonic transmitters that are used in various instruments, then a 40 kilohertz ultrasonic element will have a transmission cone of 50 degrees, whereas a 400 kilohertz element will have a transmission cone of only 3 degrees. As far as the relation of the ultrasonic velocity with frequency and wavelength is concerned, it is quite simple and straightforward and is represented by this relation. For a particular medium, the velocity of the ultrasonic wave will remain constant, and hence if you increase the frequency, the wavelength will decrease and vice versa. The table here shows few representative values of ultrasonic transmitters that are normally employed in ultrasonic transducers. Over here you can see that as we increase the frequency, the wavelength is decreasing and the transmission cone is decreasing as well. Just like any other signal, the ultrasonic wave will also get attenuated as it moves through the medium. This attenuation is dependent on various factors, out of which the most dominating one is the distance traveled. Apart from the distance traveled, the nominal frequency of the ultrasound and adsorption characteristics of the medium will also affect the amplitude of the sound wave traveling through that medium. Moreover, the adsorption characteristics of any medium depends on the level of humidity and dust particles present in that medium. All in all, the ratio of the amplitude of the ultrasound after it has traveled a particular distance with the amplitude of the initial ultrasonic wave is represented by this relation. Over here you can see that as you increase the frequency and the distance traveled by the ultrasonic wave, the amplitude will decrease. Therefore, high frequency signals or high frequency ultrasonic signals cannot travel as far as a low frequency ultrasonic signal can. Moreover, the alpha in this relation represents the adsorption characteristics of the medium. If I talk about range sensing, then a very important factor is the speed of the sound in the medium. A range sensor is recording the time between the transmission of the ultrasonic wave from the ultrasonic transmitter and the receipt of that ultrasonic wave by the ultrasonic receiver. Multiplying the velocity of the ultrasonic wave through the transmission medium with the transmission time will give you the distance between the transmitter and the receiver. But we already know that the speed of the ultrasonic wave through any medium is very much dependent on the temperature and few other characteristics as well. So how can you efficiently and accurately measure the speed of the ultrasonic wave through any medium and use it for range sensing? In practical instruments, it is easily achieved by using an extra pair of transmitter and receiver. This extra pair of transmitter and receiver is placed at a defined distance, and when transmitter transmits the ultrasound, only the time it takes for the ultrasound to reach the receiver is recorded. Choosing this time and the defined distance at which the extra pair of transmitter and receiver is placed, the velocity can be figured out. Although range sensing using ultrasonic transducers can be very accurate, but it has a limit dependent on the frequency of the ultrasonic wave that is being used by the instrument. Normally, the ultrasound that is emitted by the transmitter picks off slowly and takes one or two wavelengths to reach its maximum amplitude. Therefore, the receiver will never rely on the first wavelength it is receiving. Moreover, the receiver will look for the peak amplitude only, and this peak amplitude will come after one wavelength. So if the receiver misses one peak, then it will have to look for the next peak. Hence, the best measurement resolution can be achieved using ultrasonic range sensing is dependent on the wavelength of the transmitted wave. By now you must have guessed that how a range sensor works, and it is quite simple. The transmitter will produce a burst of ultrasonic wave and the sensor will record the time it takes the ultrasonic wave to reach the receiver. The ultrasound emitted by the transmitter will be reflected by the objects present around the transmitter, and this reflection will reach the receiver after a particular time. Using this time and the speed of the ultrasound in that medium, the distance of the object in a particular direction can be figured out. The figures over here show that how a robot mounted with an ultrasonic range sensor can figure out the direction in which it can move safely without colliding with any obstacle. The reflection of ultrasound will take a longer time to reach back to the receiver in the direction where there are no obstacles, whereas if there is some obstacle, then ultrasound will reach back quickly. Another use of ultrasonic sensors is the 3D localization. In this case, three receivers, namely A, B, and C, are placed at predefined locations, and a moving object having a transmitter is moving around. The ultrasonic wave generated by the transmitter on the moving object is received by all three receivers, and the distance of the transmitter from the location of the receiver can be figured out. Using these distances and the distances of the receivers from each other, the exact 3D location of the transmitter can be found using these mathematical relations. Moreover, ultrasonic imaging is quite extensively used in the medical and industrial testing. Normally, an ultrasonic element capable of generating an ultrasonic wave in the range of 1 MHz to 15 MHz are used. Particularly in medical imaging, the fact that each interface will reflect an ultrasound is used to figure out the location, thickness, and the shape of these interfaces. Over here, by interfaces, I mean the skin, the tissues, the muscles, and the bones present in any biological creature. Moreover, for industrial testing, components made of metal or plastic are normally tested for cracks using ultrasonic imaging. Apart from the uses I have briefly discussed in this video, there are a number of applications where ultrasonic waves are used. You should find out one such application and write it in the comments below. With this, I hope that you have developed a basic understanding that how ultrasounds can be used to measure certain physical quantities. If you have liked this video, kindly hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thank you and take care.